Hey, everybody. Hey, it's Mr. John here. And we are doing another segment of stop motion. A week or so ago, I talked to you guys about getting an idea, getting a God idea, right? And so the next step that we're going to be talking about is basically coming up with a story, how to write a story, okay? So let's start by praying first, and then we'll get right into it. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for your ideas, Lord. We thank you for your presence in our lives. We thank you, Lord, that you speak to us and you show us new things all the time, Lord. I thank you that you give us cool ideas and abilities, Lord, to write creative stories. And I thank you that you help us with the practical aspect of telling the stories, Lord, whether it's through video, animation, pictures, drawings, paintings, music, any type of creativity, Lord, that you help us to tell those stories. And so I thank you for that, and that you're here with us right now. And anybody who's watching, Lord, that you just give them inspiration. You just reveal yourself to them, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, cool. So let's get started. So this is the process we go through when we're doing stop motion. A lot of times people, and it's okay, a lot of people, they want to do stop motion. They're like, okay, give me the camera, give me something, I'm going to animate it. And they just want to start animating. You know what? That's fine. That's good. And it's fun. And you can make things move, and that's kind of cool. But it's not really telling a story, right? And so I'm going to tell you a basic way to tell a story. It's called The Hero's Journey. Okay. And it's basically just a little pattern. You don't have to follow it exactly, but it's a pattern that you can use to tell the story. Now, when I was over the last couple of weeks, I got an idea. I got a little idea, and I was praying about it, and I kept asking the Lord about it, just like we talk about in our drawing near classes. You just keep asking the Lord questions. He shows you, gives you an idea. Just keep asking him about him. How am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to use that? And it was kind of funny that the idea he showed me was a rock, a stone. Okay, that's it. So I was like, what's that all about? Well, the first thing that came to mind when I was asking him was that, first of all, a lot of times when we start doing stop motion, we want to come up with a character. We want to come up with, we want to build a character. We want to we take all kinds of time to build some sort of clay character or some sort of paper animation character. And it takes a long time to get going. But you know what? You can animate something as simple as a rock. Okay, it doesn't take a lot to get going. The animation process is designed to bring things that have no life to life, right? So just like God basically animated us, right? I mean, we were made from the dirt of the earth, and he breathed into us and gave us life. So that's what we're going to do. So my process, my story is going to involve a stone, okay, a rock. So just keep that in mind. So real quick, the hero's journey, it can be kind of complicated, but the basic idea is that you have a certain character or characters, and they have a life that they're leading, right? So you have to establish, what is this life we're leading, right? So that's the normal life. Then something happens, okay? And that's called an inciting event. Okay, something happens that changes things, right? So that's an inciting event. And sometimes I like to use the illustration of Nemo, when Nemo and Marlin, right? That was his dad. They got their little normal life, and then something happens. What was that thing that happened? Somebody scooped up Nemo, right? He went out a little too far and they scooped him up. That was the inciting event. That's when everything changed. That's when decisions had to be made, right? So after that inciting event, the next thing that usually happens is that the hero, and the hero in Finding Nemo is who? Is it Nemo? It's not Nemo. No, it's his dad. He's the hero, right? Marlin. He's the one that the story is really about, right? It's the process that he goes through. I mean, there's other characters and they have their evolution too, but it's mainly about his dad. So there is after the inciting event, there is a call to adventure. Okay, I'm just writing this down. Call to adventure. Okay. And the hero gets to make a decision. He gets to decide, am I going to go on this journey? Am I going to go find Nemo? Am I going to overcome my fears and break that barrier and go where I've never gone before, right? This is what makes up a good story, right? So he decides to do it. Okay, so then what happens? He starts running into all kinds of challenges, right? Challenges, trials, having to fight, overcome, and it keeps mounting and building until you get to a point where there is this basically this final battle, right? And that's the next part of it. It's the final battle. And this is where everything gets decided. Does he find Nemo? Does the bad guy get taken care of? I mean, what happens? How does this thing all shake out in this final battle? And then after the final battle, you have your, what we call the new norm, right? The new normal life. So life has changed now, right? Marlin's not as uptight as he was, right? He's not having, he's not pressing down on Nemo so much. He's letting him have a little bit of freedom. He's trusting, right? Something's changed, right? So that's kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but that's basically the idea. You start with your norm, and then you have your inciting event, and then you have your call to action, and then you have all this struggle that he's got to go through. The final battle, you come down and you have your new norm. Okay, so that's a basic framework for writing a story. So what I want to do is I'm going to write a story. I'm going to start writing a story, and you know what? You can participate with me. You can brainstorm with me. You can send me ideas. Caleb's on the call with me. If you have any great ideas as we're doing this, you know, throw them in there. You know, it's a brainstorming kind of session. But I have a basic story, but we're going to kind of dial it in a little bit. And I'm going to take notes because, you know, as you're going through this process, you'll get more ideas. And even through the whole process of animation, you could get more ideas, right? It's just an ongoing thing. So you have to be a little bit flexible to change your story here and there, to add characters or to add different scenes and things like that. So my story is about a rock, maybe several rocks, but basically, if you think about stones and rocks in the Bible, do you remember any stories about stones or rocks? There probably weren't any like characters, right, that were stones, but do you ever remember anybody using rocks or stones? Or anything that they used to do? One of the things that they used to do with stones is they used to pile them up. Like when they would, I think it was Jacob. And what was his?
Jacob's ladder.
When he, what was his father-in-law's name? Laman, or anyway, when he,
I don't know which story.
when he left, and he took his daughter with him, and then he came chasing him. And he's like, why are you taking my daughter away? Why are you taking all my, all your cattle is my cattle, or the sheep are my sheep? And they get in this big argument, right? Laban. They made an agreement. They said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to let you go your way. I'm going to go your way. This is going to be a little boundary. You stay on your side. I'll stay on my side. And let's stack up some stones. Let's stack up some stones. And that will be like a monument or a memorial. So every time we see those stones, we'll remember the covenant that we made, or the agreement that we made. All right. So stones built up, it's kind of like a statue or a structure or a sculpture of some sort to help people remember things. Okay. So that was one example of stones. Another one was a pretty famous one was David and Goliath, right? When he took 5 stones out of the creek and used them. Well, actually only used one. But that is actually the story that I want to tell. And I want to tell it from the perspective of the stones. Okay. So the stones are going to be the characters. And you're like, what? That's exactly what's so good about animation, is that you can take things that just sit there and animate them. You can give them life. So that's what we're going to tell the story of David and Goliath through the eyes of the stone. Okay. So we have basically a way to tell a story, right? The hero's journey. So what is the hero's journey for this stone? Well, we got to talk about his normal life, right? The regular normal life. What is the normal life for a stone? Probably sits around a lot, right? Doesn't do much. And so the stone, the way I'm kind of picturing it is that he's you got to figure out his characteristics. So so the stone is stones are kind of slow. They're probably really patient, right? They're good at waiting, right? Good at waiting, watching things go by. They've been around for a long time, so they're probably really old. They're not very spontaneous, right? They're kind of like that person that, this is the way we've done it in the past, and it's working for us. So this is the way we're going to keep doing it, right? So that's this stone. That's the normal stone, okay? But maybe we have a stone that doesn't want to be like all the other stones. Maybe this stone doesn't like waiting around. Maybe he's a little bit rebellious. Or maybe he's he's a chip off the old block. Maybe he hasn't been around that long, right? Maybe he's a little bit younger and he wants to do big things. Maybe, here's an idea, maybe it's almost the David story, the David and Goliath story with the stone. Maybe, David's brothers didn't think much of him, right? Especially when he went out there to the battle where the giant was, right? They're like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be with the sheep. You just want to be out here to see the action, man. Why don't you go home? They didn't think much of him, right? So maybe this other little stone, maybe they don't think much of him. Maybe all the other bigger stones, they're like, you know what? Somebody dropped a rock and you just kind of chipped off one day, and you don't know how things are supposed to be. Stop trying to be adventurous. Stop trying to want to be somewhere else. Just lay right here in the creek and stop being like that. Okay. Then there's an inciting event, right? So that's the normal. That's the normal. So now we need an inciting event. What kind of event? What kind of event could happen? What kind of inciting event would happen in a creek? Maybe there were, did they have chariots back then? Yeah, chariots, yeah, or some sort of, maybe there was a battle at a previous battle. Actually, in that valley where David fought the Goliath, that was a valley where the Philistines would normally come to attack Israel. And so they've had battles in the past there, I think. And so maybe on a previous battle, you know, all the people running through there, maybe some of the, you know, chariots or different things that would go through there, maybe that broke up the we got to give him a name. We'll just call him Little Stone right now. Maybe Little Stone was separated from his family, right? He's separated from his family because something went through there and just he went shooting out of the river, maybe up on the bank a little bit. So he was separated, and now he's not being as influenced by those other stones. And maybe, this little thought, you just got to go with the thoughts when they come, right? Maybe he makes friends with somebody. Okay, so he has another protagonist, right? So maybe he makes friends with a turtle. Do they have turtles over there? Maybe he makes friends with the turtle. And the turtle reminds him of a stone because he's got that shell, right? And so he's kind of hard. And he's got a shell, but the turtle's, I mean, even though a turtle's slow, it's a lot faster than a stone, right? So maybe he gets inspiration from the turtle. Maybe he sees the turtle moving and it's like, look at that stone. That stone is going somewhere. That stone is doing something. So the turtle is the other protagonist and inspires him. Okay. So then the way this thing is going to play out is obviously David is going to come over and grab some stones. So we're going to skip a little bit down and get to the final battle. So David's going to come by. He's going to come by the creek and he's going to pick up, he said he'd pick up 5 stones. So this stone is going to be one of them. 5 stones. And then, let's see. So now he's in a dark place. He's not sure what's going on. He just gets put into David's little, sachet or whatever he has there. He puts little stones in there. And now he's in a dark place. I mean, it's kind of scary, right? He's not sure what's happening. But then David reaches in, pulls it out, and basically there's going to be this scene. There's got to be this scene where the little stone, gets a revelation. Of the things that he can accomplish, the things that he could do. The thing that he always wanted to do was not to stay in one place. And now he has an opportunity to not only move to another place, but he's going to be used in a battle that's going to change, the lives of millions. He's going to be part of a story that's going to be told for centuries. And so then he gets put in the sling, gets shot, right? Takes out the giant. And then maybe at the end, the new Norm had this idea this morning. Maybe the new Norm is that he becomes the capstone on a pile of rocks where a covenant was made. And we can flesh that out later as far as who made the covenant. Maybe David did a little memorial right there where they slayed the giant, and he got to be the capstone. And now he's setting up in a place of honor, of someplace new, someplace where if you take that risk, if you take that chance, if you don't give up on the ideas and the things that are in you, or the things that God put in you to do, you're going to reach that, and you're going to be in a place of honor and some respect. Okay. So that's kind of the story. What do you think of the story? Is that an okay story?
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Kayla? Okay, I get a thumbs up. Okay, so that's the story I'm going to be working on. Now it's going to evolve, and we're going to go through a process of storyboarding it. We are going to write a script. We're going to have some, have to give the characters, voices and dialogue and things like that. We'll probably start it off by, first idea was that we would just have like kind of a backstory, maybe a narrating type of animation. So we'll have somebody narrating a voiceover as we set the scene, the first scene. Okay. All right. So this is my basic overview of this. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about storyboards. Okay. So one of the points I wanted to make is that all this stuff is really important. Okay. This is really important to do these step by step. You might think that it's not fun, or it takes too much time, but God can get involved in every one of these parts. When you're writing the overall idea, like I was doing here, just writing it out, or maybe you just write out the story. Maybe you just get on the some sort of screenplay software, and you just type out the story, or you just type it into a Word document, whatever it is. God can get involved in that part. Okay, He can make it, and He can give you ideas. He can make it, really cool. So do it. I mean, you don't have to just get all the pieces and start animating, and then, I mean, you could do it that way, and God can show you some things. But this, if you break it down into pieces, He just has more opportunity to get involved in it. Okay, it's like asking the questions, all the questions that we keep asking. If you're specific with your questions, God will give you a specific answer. Okay, but if you're just doing this overview, He'll give you answers. It's just not going to be the quality that you want. Okay, so now we're going to work on a storyboard. And a storyboard is basically just the different shots that you're going to do. Now, a shot is a camera angle, basically. So it's whatever is in the frame of the camera, right? So right now my shot is like a medium shot, or medium close-up. Okay, right about here at the chest. That's a medium close-up. There are wide shots. There are extreme wide shots. There are close-ups, extreme close-ups, medium shots. All these different shots help you to build the story, help you to tell the story. And that's what we're going to do here, is we're going to write the shots down. Okay. So we got a little bit of time, so we could probably get started. On this a little bit. What would be the first shot? What do you think would be the first shot? You got any ideas, Kayla? No? Let's see. Oh, I want to show you something first. I want to show you, I did a little test. Oh, sorry. I did a little test with the rocks. Okay, and this will give you kind of a picture of what they can do, right? So we are going to come over here. And the software we're going to be using is this Stop Motion Studio. And I think it's this one. No, that's not it. I should have had this ready. Sorry, guys. Let's see. There it is. Okay. So I animated these, and I will just play it. I'll back it up. So the idea is that, I mean, you can animate things. That have no life, right? That's the idea. So the idea behind this was that, okay, can I make a stone walk, right? So this is a little family of stones. This might be the family, and maybe he's the little one, right? And so he does something, scares all the rocks, they all fall down. Like, what happened, right? And then they all get back up, right? And start walking off. But then the big one has to tell the little guy, what are you doing? And then they have a little discussion about it, right? So I was just kind of testing it out to see if we could do this, right? What our limitations are, right? And these are all different shots. This is over the shoulder shot, right? So the little rock is talking here. And then we're gonna go back and the big rock's gonna be talking here. And you really don't even need to put any facial features on these things, as long as you have a voiceover and you're animating the rocks. I mean, it's good enough. You're telling the story, because the story is the most important part, right? As long as you have a good story, okay? All right, so that's that. Let's go back here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the storyboard. So the first scene, now going forward, if you guys want to storyboard this yourself, you can. If you have a better idea, Caleb, if you want to animate food or something in the kitchen or something like that, you can do that too. So you could just see the process that I'm going through and then recreate your own stories. So you mentioned something about Lego foods. Lego foods. Okay, yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. But what's the story? What's the story? That's what you got to come up with. Now you could do this story, the same story with Legos. You could do that. You could do it with, you could do it with food, right? Just use your imagination, right? You could do the story of David with food. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's bacon or ham or something, or an egg or something, whatever it happens to be. You can use anything you want to tell the story. I'm sure everybody's seen like VeggieTales, right? They tell stories with vegetables, right? All the Bible stories, they tell them with vegetables. And it's after a while, you kind of forget that they're vegetables because they're so real, right? They're talking, they're telling the story, right? So it's really good. So keep that in mind. You can use whatever you want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's see if I can set this camera up so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. Not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but And I know it's the wrong angle, but that's about the best we can do here. Maybe I'll turn it that way so you can see it. And then I'll sit sideways. Okay, so the first scene, this is a storyboard if you're not familiar. And so each square is going to be a shot. Now it's not a whole scene, it's just one camera angle. And you'll notice that in movies and animation, there's a lot of different things happening, a lot of different shots. You know, they'll get close to the person, they'll get far away. But normally when you start a story, normally, but not always, you start with an establishing shot so that people know where we're at, right? So the story takes place in Israel by a creek, right? So you may draw, maybe we have like a little creek of some sort. And here's the thing with storyboards, it doesn't have to be pretty, okay? It doesn't have to be beautiful. It's just a reference. This is not the final project, right? The final project is your animation, right? So we have a little creek here. And then maybe some mountains in the background, like that. Then this is the establishing shot. And so we may start telling the story, tell the backstory here. Tell backstory. You know, once upon a time in Israel, and you can tell the date, you can the voiceover, this is all voiceover. There lived, you know, 5 stones. And you could draw these little stones down here. Actually, how many? Maybe it was just a bunch of brothers, right? Lived a family of stones. And they have lived there for a long time, right? For thousands of years. Okay. Then you may want to talk about some of the characteristics of the different stones, right? Some of the brothers or whoever. So maybe we get a closer shot. Maybe we get a closer shot of some of the stones, right? And so they're all kind of standing together, right? And then we quickly, so we're probably going to, I need a blue pen. There's my blue pen, there's my blue pen. So we are going to pan. Pan means the camera moves left to right. This one we're going to pan right. That's not a very blue pen. So what I like to do is I like to use blue to indicate camera movement, right? That'll work. Okay. And we use red to indicate character movement. Okay. These are not smiles, those are movement, actually. So what's going to happen in this scene is it's going to be kind of a closer shot of going down all the different stones of this family. And we may name them, right? The oldest was, and maybe we'll give them some clever names like, you know, something that has to do with granite or you know, rock names of some sort. Oldest was, you know, rock. Maybe the little one was pebble. I don't know. You can come up with some some funny names or something, and then we're going to pan across. So then we're going to get an idea of who all these characters are, right? So we're establishing the norm. Then we may get maybe a medium close-up of one of the stones, like the little one that we want to talk about, or maybe just a full shot. Okay, and then we'll describe him, and maybe we'll have another shot. So this is our hero backstory. Then maybe we have some interaction, right, as far as with his brothers or his family and how they treated him bad, or maybe he was, very ambitious or something like that, and they didn't like that. And so maybe he's doing that over the shoulder shot that we talked about, right? So here he is. He's a little guy compared to some of these bigger stones. The older brother, right, looking down on him. Right. And then they're discussing how stones should be or feel. Okay, so this is kind of the process. This is kind of the process, and so I'm going to go through. I'm going to keep doing this storyboard, and I'm just going to kind of go through this story. If you guys want to do something like this, if you like this story and you have a better idea, I am going to attach this file to the to this video, and I'll send it to you, Caleb, too, if you don't have it. And what you can do is you can storyboard it yourself. And then what we can do is we can mix ideas, right? So if you have something that is a better shot or better a better I'm gonna turn this around again. You have a better shot, or you have a better idea, then let's do that. Let's do that idea, right? So that's what I got for you today. So it's all about the hero's journey and storyboarding it. Okay, get that idea, that story written, basic overview. You work on the storyboard, and then we're going to add more to it. We're going to add dialogue. We're going to add a lot more. We're going to have to go through and set up our set later. We're going to set up a set. We're going to do lighting. We're going to do setting up our camera, different shots. So it's going to be fun. So we're going to do this over the next several weeks. Maybe if I have enough time and I'm ambitious enough, maybe we'll do it 2 or 3 times a week, and we'll get this thing rolling. But tell me what you think. If you have any better ideas or whatever you want to contribute to this, I'd love to hear from you. That's what I got for you. So you guys have a good day. You be blessed, be inspired, hear from God, and let him show you cool new things. Okay? Love you guys. Bye-bye.